Okay, in this video what we're going to do is we're going to go through a little PowerPoint, and I'm going to go through a few different things with you, so let's go ahead and get started. Alright. So what we're going to learn how to do is just work with some variables. We're going to learn about different types of variables and variable scope. First, variables we're going to go over are integer, they store whole numbers. Decimal, they store decimal numbers. String, which stores text. And booleans, which store either the word true or false. We've already worked with these, so you're pretty familiar with using them. There's also a long and short, which are twice and half the size of an integer respectively. I'm not going to be holding you responsible for this. The reason why there's all these different types of data types in Visual Basic is computers didn't always have 8 or 16 gigabytes of RAM like they do now. They used to have kilobytes of RAM, and when they did, they had to make sure they managed the memory properly. There's also a double, which is half the size of a decimal, but we're just going to use decimal. Okay, how to dim variables? You see right here, dim my variable is integer. Dim my variable 2 is decimal equal 3.45D. The reason why we put D in there is you do that with decimals. It forces the computer to use a decimal. Dim my word is string equals quote hello world. This will make a text up. A string could store 2 billion characters, so you could fit a lot of books in there. Dim answer is boolean equals true. Okay, that's that. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about scope. Procedural level or button level scope. If you dim a variable within an object, or procedural level, only the object, example the button or wherever you're dimming it, will be able to see and use the variable. The variable dies after the button is clicked, meaning the program does not remember the value of the variable. Okay? And form level variable is the variable is dimmed at the top, and it dies after the program ends. That's when I, close out the program and we no longer see it running. But the value of the variable is remembered throughout the whole thing. Okay? The last thing is static. Static are weird. They kind of act like global variables or form level variables, but they're defined in the function. So procedural level variables, they're defined in the button. The program remembers the value, just like a form level variable, but it only has button level scope. Okay, so let's go ahead and write a program that's going to demonstrate how to use all these. Okay, so I'm going to make a group box here. All right. For containers. Containers, there we go. Group box. I'm going to make 3, so I'm actually going to hit Control C, Control V, Control V. So I'm going to make 3 of these. Okay. And I'm going to make them kind of big, just so we don't run any issues with space. All right. This group box I'm going to call, let's put form level. This group box we're going to do button level or function level, procedural level. We'll just call it button level. And in this group box, we're going to put static. Okay? And, oops. Let's just do a button. And a label. Okay? It's pretty simple. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste these, put them here. Put them here. I'm going to be lazy. I'm not going to name anything. You should. You should call it, whatever you want. I'm not going to name these just for the sake of this demonstration. I don't really need to name them. So first thing we're going to do is form level. We're going to right click on the form itself, and we're going to go to view code. Okay. That didn't work. Try that again. Let's just double click on the form. Hold on. Okay, so I had to restart VB, but now we go to view code and we don't get an error. So we're going to go right under public class form1, and we're going to put private. We're going to call it add number as decimal. There you go. And we're going to go back to our form. This is called label 1, I think. We're going to double click here, and we're going to put me dot label1 dot text equals add number dot toString, and we'll put n2 to make sure it's a number to 2 decimal places. And then right on top of that, we're going to say add number equals add number plus 5. Okay, so that's all we're going to do. Just know that this output set is a number to 2 decimal places. We could say, 5 point. See, if I did this, right, it'll automatically round it. So just know what that does. If I put n3, it'll go to 3 decimal places. Let's take a look. Let's just put n3. Okay, let's go ahead and run it. All right. And here it is. You notice it goes to 3 decimal places because we have n3. And let's keep clicking this. And you'll notice that it's going up by 5. Okay. So this is a form level variable. What did we do? We view the code. You put the variable right under public class form1. We say private add number as decimal. So you'll notice that here we did not redim the variable because we dimmed it up here. So if I add another button, like for example, if I wanted to use it, let's say in this one too, I could also use add number here, right? But I don't want to do that. So what are we going to do here? Well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to create another variable. So let's go ahead and do it. We're going to say dim add number, just to not get confusing. Okay, just know that if I call this add number and I call this add number, let's do that. I'll explain it to you. And we'll say add number equals, so I could say plus equals 5. That means add number, it means this. It's shorthand for that, okay? It's the same as this. It's just shorthand, okay? And then we'll say me dot label2 dot text equals add number dot toString. Let's put n2 here. Okay. And let's go ahead and run it and see what it does. You'll notice it's stuck at 5. Look at this one. That's going up. Now, why isn't that one going up? What's happening is this. It's using add number right here, and it's basically remaking it. So it doesn't have to. It doesn't remember the value. Every time the computer sees this thing dim, it remakes this variable. And then it tells the computer, as soon as we get to n sub, kill this variable. And then when I click the button again, make it alive, do your stuff, and kill it. Now the question you may have is, well, why isn't it using the form level one? I already have it here. Why is it using this one? The way this works is it looks to the button level scope first, says, is there add number here? No? Okay, let me look at the top of the form. Is there add number here? If there's no add number here, but there's an add number here, it's fine, I won't yell at you. Like, check this out. If I put add number 5, watch what it says. It'll say it's not declared because it looked here and then it looked up here and it didn't see it, right? So that's why it's yelling at you. Just know that it always uses the one that's closest to it. Literally, this is closer than this one, so it'll use that. Let's go ahead and do the last one. We don't need this. Let's get rid of these guys. Now we're going to do static. So we're going to say static add number as decimal, and we'll say okay. All right, so let's see what this one does. It's increasing like this one. Let's just make it add number 5, so you don't get confused here. Add number 5. Watch this. Add number 5. Make sure they're all at number 5, okay? Now it's still counting. So why is this happening? There's this really crazy word called static, and the way it works is the computer says this. If I've already created this variable, meaning if you've already clicked, the button, and this variable is in your computer's memory, so the computer remembers it, don't remake it again. That's what static says. Do not remake the variable again if it's already created. The only time it'll remake this variable again is when? You should have guessed it, is when we kill the program, the entire program, restart the program, and then hit the button. That's when it'll recreate the variable. But once the program is already running, it won't recreate the variable. Static prevents that. Who can see this variable? Only this function here can see this variable. It's exactly like this variable, except it makes the computer remember its existence until the program ends. So what I've done in this lesson is I've showed you how to make a form level variable here. I've showed you how to make a button level or function level variable here with function level scope, and how to make a static variable that holds its number that only has function level scope. We also learned about the different types of variables. So we learned that there's, a little slow, we learned that there's integer, decimal, string, and Boolean, and we learned how to define them, and we learned scope. I hope you found this lecture helpful, and you understand the difference between scope, or the relationship, I should say, between scope, static variables, different types of variables, and how they all work together cohesively to make a very flexible, powerful program.